Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
All right, let's reset the windows and ourselves. You're checking out Weekend at Gabe's with Weekend Gabe and the Real Sam Crane joining you here on Twitch TV. Give us a follow on these social at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at the Real Sam Crane. Joining us now, two of the most respected voices in Chicago hip hop music artistry. They represent this, and these are not your homeboys raps. They are really about that life. They're holding it down. Rita J, Neak, joining us to talk about their new record, The High Priestess. How are you this evening?
Hey, peace,
What's up,
Gabe?
Gabe?
What's up?
Good. It's been so long since I've seen any of you guys in person. Neak has the great honor of being twice in one calendar year. I think you and when you work hard, you get a cup. That's the reward. But thank you guys so much for making time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Glad
having
to be
us.
here.
I appreciate it. All right, so you guys were featuring on each other's records. You guys have a working relationship. What came about that said, it's time that we, you guys hinted at this in the interlude of Whack Beats. But what made you guys come together and bring this project home? Because Rita, really, your track history is like every 4 years. You had like a Dr. Dre output going on for a while. Every 4 years we get a record. So why was the timing perfect now for you guys to come together and do this?
Neak, So to me, like Neak hit me up for "Do It for Love," on his album, and that kind of got the ball rolling.
Right.
So he let me know that he was available to work and that he would love to work with me, and I would love to work with him. And so it was just real easy, real casual, real easy, and we just had a routine going and knocked it out.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really that simple. It was great chemistry, came together, and then it was like once we finished like a song or two, we kind of knew we was on to something, and we was like, let's keep going, just sticking to a routine, and here we are.
Were you in tune to was Neak, were you crafting beats or sounds to cater to Rita, or were these kind of like a collection of records that you guys were kind of sifting through and what fit into Rita's vision or your guys' vision of what the project would sound like? Were these customized beats and sounds? How did this work?
90% of the beats was made on the spot. So essentially, Rita would come over, we would have a conversation, I would start producing the record, and she would either kind of give me the yay or nay if I was going to and then she would take the record home, write to it, record it, and then after she records, she leave with another record. So that's kind of the process. But I kind of got that process from Slot. Slot A is like that. He did that with me. I feel like that you get a better sound when you can build chemistry right there on the spot.
Absolutely.
It's tailored. It was tailored for it.
I'm glad that we brought up the No Whack Beats interlude, because I thought that part was absolutely hilarious. But given that story that Neak just told, how often does Neak give you a whack beat? You can be honest. You can be honest.
Messy.
No,
that's all good.
No, it was no whack beats, actually. No whack beats. I think I only passed on like 2, and that was just because I was like more excited about, the ones he gave me. But it was a great process to be able to just kind of create on the spot. You know what I mean? We would go through the records and just see what we liked, and then it was just that easy.
And do you get that interaction a lot? Do people send you stuff and you're like, this, I gotta listen to this?
Yeah, all the time. And I'm usually not feeling it, but in this case it was the opposite.
Word.
That's how we made the skit. That's where the skit kind of came from.
Well, what about Neek's sound that progresses Rita J's voice? Like, what was it about him? Because Neek does have a signature sound about him and his records. There's up tempo bounce records that have a lot of energy behind them, and obviously with the infusion of Slade and the scratches in, you kind of get like these almost nostalgic. I don't want to like say like old timey records, but they have a nostalgic hip hop essence built into the records that that isn't commonly done today. So what about his sound that really sort of resonated with you and you're like, all right, cool, I think we should move forward with this?
Yeah, so I'm definitely a fan of Neak. I've always been a fan of Neak, so I'm hip to his production, and it's just very soulful and very Chicago.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
it was just felt like home, and it just blended really well.
There you go. Well, how's that feel to hear that, Nick?
I'm trying not to smile. I want to smile from here. No, I mean that's the important thing. Like when I think about production, for me, I want to be able to create the landscape that's best for the artist.
Right.
So I'm channeling their energy. So wherever they're at mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that's where I'm trying to go. I don't want to force a record onto an artist and try to get them to create something that is not necessarily native to what they want to do. So, that's why the conversation was so important. Rita was very, communicative about where her mind was and what she wanted to do. So it made it easy, to create that way.
And also, coming up, we would have like conversations, during these sessions. So it would lead up to like bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And going off the back of that, I heard you say, Neak, in another interview, that you are sort of here to serve, right? Is that a switch in your brain that you have to sort of turn off from, making your own music and being involved on that level? Do you have to kill the ego a little bit to like get in the room and really be of service?
There's no ego at all because it's not about me. It's
right.
about. This album was about Rita J, so it was about me channeling what she needed for me to channel. I'm not coming into a session with hers like, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. It's more so, where are you? And then I can follow and tailor the sound to you. So there's no ego at all. And plus, I'm a big fan of her, so I'm excited when she's getting charged up and she's writing her raps and preparing to record because I'm just a fan. So it was a privilege for me. You know what I mean?
The intro, Rita, you kind of like give us an idea of what you've been up to, since we last heard from you. And there's something you said that was really interesting and almost in the first few seconds of the album. And you said that you're trying to free yourself from ancestral trauma. And that reminded me of the book My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaan Menakem. I don't know if you've read it at all.
I have not.
It essentially is kind of what you're discussing, like the trauma of our ancestors. We carry that trauma through birth and through our existence, and trying to rid that burden. So talk a little bit about how this album you were able to try to free yourself from that trauma, if you were able to.
Yeah, so every creative project is a release, so this release is an actual release emotionally and spiritually as well. And so I definitely got off a lot of good topics, I think, that address, that trauma. So, I just think that the ancestors, used me and spoke to me and in a way that I could translate it. And I think if you listen to the album, that comes through.
Got it. How did what was when you were listening to Rita bring back the records? Neak, how did that help like kind of shape what the next record was going to be, so that you're pushing it forward and sort of like instead of sort of the stagnation of maybe staying in the theme, but like kind of trying to get her to open up to more ideas? How did that influence the way that you were choosing samples or choosing records that you wanted to make production around?
Yeah, well, for the most part, when I start approaching production, I try to have nothing in mind. Like I don't try to have a distinct like idea because I just want it to be free flowing.
Sure.
So, but what I do understand is as the records get created, I start to understand what we already have in comparison to what we need. depending on the conversations we've been having and kind of where her energy was. So as we made records, I was just kind of in my mind saying, okay, we created something at this tempo with this vibe, with this energy. Let's push it another way, or let's go a different way. But the initial creation process, I try not to get in the way too much. I try not to foreshadow it too much, because I feel like that's when you stifle the creative process.
Right.
So for me, once the vocals were laid, then I would go back into the record, and then I would kind of recreate and reproduce it, arrange it in that way. And Rita was there for most of that process too, because she had a lot of input on that process as well. So once the vocals are laid, I feel like that's when you start to create the record,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were like just knocking songs out, at first, just trying to like get as many songs in, and before we even really started to like bring it all together. It wasn't even towards the end when we were like, oh, okay, we got an album. Neak would always say like, we got an album, like we could keep going, or we can stop here, but you have an album. So
yeah.
I think we kind of just tied it all together at the end, but it was just a joy to just keep the ball rolling and see what we could come up with each time.
Right.
And this next question is for both of you guys. It's not been too long. Like we said, Neak's been on the show before with a new release lately. Your last release, Rita, Black Koala. Where do you both see the biggest individual growth from those last projects that you did to High Priestess?
I'll let you go first on this one, Rita.
Okay. For me, I just think it's been my experience. Like I got to travel. I got to tour Europe, and I got to like tour with C2C, which is a huge group in France. And I've been able to work with a lot of cool people, and just always wanting to, kind of outright myself each time, or be better than the last time. And so I do see a lot of growth and hear a lot of growth just in my lyrics. And for me, it was just way easier to focus working with just one producer instead of like many different producers. So I was able to like focus more. So
yeah, I think where I started to see growth at, where is that I noticed over the last couple of records I produced, I tend to bring the personal experiences out of artists.
Sure.
Like kind of getting them to go to places that they typically wouldn't go. And I think that's important, because I think having that, being able to show sides of you that people don't know about, it brings another level of connection to people. So when I'm tailoring production and as I'm producing, that's what I want to do. So I started to see that with this project, where this is probably outside of Quest Bar the most personal that I've seen, Rita ascend to, as far as talking about, just where she is as a human being, but I think that's important because people resonate with that. They see themselves in that, and they like, wow, they can connect, on that level.
Neak, correct me if I'm wrong. This is your first album that you fully produced that wasn't your own, right?
No, this is my third. Well, this is my second one. I did Since 9/6 entire project.
That's right, you did. Correct. Yeah.
Except for 2 songs. Slade did the intro. I did like the co-production on that one, and International MC did one record on that.
I always say that Neak is like the hardest working guy I ever met in my life. Like he has children. He just got married. He was finishing up his degree, learning how to make beats, finishing up the album, performing. There's really nothing he can't do.
Yep. Seriously, Neak is like a busy man, straight up.
It got to get done. And it's either I'm going to complain and look around, or I'm going to get it done. Now, you only got 2 options. It's either going to get done or it's not. And I just don't want to leave no stone unturned. I don't want to be that wish I should have, could have, would have guy. I don't want that.
And this is why I like to work with Neak, because he's on it. He's on top of things. So I have no worries there.
The job's going to get done.
Exactly.
I appreciate it. That means a lot, for real.
People will talk. They'll tell you, what they're gonna do, and then crickets.
And some people drop the ball on you, man. For real, you be like, "What happened? I thought we was work." Project nowhere near done.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, I think if you can get your hands on the Rita J for a project, I think you need to see that through. So
Yeah.
whoever missed that window,
Drop the ball on that one. That's
yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Yeah, she one of the best, man. And she one of the best out here. I don't say that just because I work
Oh
with
yeah.
her. I've always felt that way. And I don't even know if she knows. Every time she released something, they always talking about my top 10 female MCs and my top 10 MCs. Rita J is in there. I'm like, they saying that for a reason, you know.
Sure.
Just had an article what come out a couple of days ago already saying that she had one of the best albums of 2021. So it's no coincidence. She's got the talent, and always had it. So
I appreciate it.
Well, we kind of naturally got to my question of what you guys admire most about each other. So thanks for taking that one off my plate, guys. You did a great job with that one. But you brought up touring, Rita, and this question sort of for both of you because you guys came off I think it was an in-person event a couple weeks back talking about the album and the project in general. Is that something you guys have missed terribly, like being in front of people, feeling people's energy, and being outside in general?
So I do miss it, but at the same time, I've done it enough that I'm not like heartbroken because I do understand, we're in a different time. So I'm more so just trying to focus on what does it look like now? Like, what is that? What does me touring or doing shows look like today? You know what I mean? Because it is a new day. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm kind of half and half. Like, it's funny because even I was thinking about how to prepare for a show. I almost forgot. I'm like, what do you like? Because for me, I went on tour in 2019, came back 2020, pandemic hit. I haven't performed since. So it's like, it's definitely a lot of challenges now, especially with, obviously with COVID, but it's so much uncertainty. It's like, how do you even gear up for it? So I'm kind of in that space, kind of figuring out what does it look like for me if I do want to start performing again. And, I want to do it in a way that's safe and in a way where people can enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I know. I saw you at the Sky Zoo show. You jumped on with Fillmore and Rashid, and I think you said that was like your first time performing in months prior, right?
No, it was like a year and a half.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know. I was like, I was on stage like, how do you do this again? Like, what do you do? Like, it just felt so.
You look great. You did great.
I appreciate it, but it just felt strange. Like, I didn't. Like, I was affected. Like, that's how I felt. I'm like, yeah, I was affected because it's strange to me.
But it was like a real weird setup too at the promontory. Like everyone was kind of like corridor off, and there was like a little space in the middle. This is like really weird dynamic. So even if you were back, it was like you're like coming out there. You're like, this doesn't look familiar at all.
It's not.
The promontory is a weird space to perform. I performed there once with MC Light, and it was just weird. Like people were sitting down, and it was a little weird.
We talked to some artists who performed at the promontory, and they said the lights are sort of what makes it a weird thing. Like when you're on stage, you can't really see if there is anybody in front of you. It's only like when you take a step back, or you're like, oh, the crowd's acting weird. Did y'all feel that at all? Like the way the stage set up?
Yeah, you can't see on stage. When you're on stage, when you look out, you see nothing but lights. So you don't know if people are responding or interacting. Even when you get to the edge of the stage, you can't see unless you get off the stage.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard to determine how people are actually feeling about the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rita, I wanted to ask you this because I think this comes up in the record Feminine Rising. Back in 2014, you told Southside Weekly when they asked you about like how women are being represented properly in hip hop, and you said you often only see one woman sometimes in the crowd. 7 years later, how has representation in hip hop improved or stagnated? Through your vision, your eyes.
I mean, the shows that I attend is pretty much the same. Still less women now, but I know that there's new, mainstream chicks, and I'm sure maybe they pack their shows with women or whatever, but shows that I enjoy, that I'm into, it's kind of just the same. It's a few women, you know, and mostly
A bunch
men.
of dudes.
Yeah.
What how do you think that changes? I know if you had like a magic wand and you could fix I don't even know if it's broken or what do you think that the problem is, but if you could fix it, like what would you do?
I would just maybe expose the music more to them. I think maybe like the artists that I'm into, not the average woman would just know about or listen to, because I've been, you know, listening for so long, and I just have a different ear. But you know, if I played Odyssey, for example, for one of my girlfriends, I'm sure that they would like it, but they just don't know about them. You know what I mean?
Got it. And then I want to get into a couple of records like Real Men Cry. That's real, definitely. And that was the joint that Neak jumped on. And that was kind of like, and I think it was like kind of like the emotional weather of being a black man in America, but also just sort of the weight that we have to carry as men in general, right? So what about like sort of like discussing that and, you know, sort of opening up the idea that men are often viewed as these sort of pillars of strength, but actually we're really not. Anyone?
I'm like, Neak, you're a black man.
No, I'll go. I'm sorry. So, I mean, I think that vulnerability amongst men in general is not the most talked about thing. Like, it's one of those things where men are taught at a very young age to wear masks and to not let people in, not let people see you weep, cry, you know, these type of things. And it's really affecting how, you know, how we morph into adulthood, you know,
Sure.
who we are as men, who we are as people. And these are real emotions that have to come out that should be deemed as okay. You know, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be hurt. It doesn't make you less of a man because you're going through these emotions. Actually, it makes you more of a man to me because it's transparency and it's honesty. So I think that, you know, with that record, you know, because that beat was made on the spot too. And it was like, you know, when Rita recorded her two verses, I was like, oh my God. And she was like, yo, you got to get on this one because I just feel like you fit perfectly for this one.
Yeah.
So I knew, I was like, you know, when I was writing the verse, I was like, I want to talk about like, it's actually okay to expose these parts of you and it'll be okay. You know, you don't have to hide it. There's no shame in it. And we need to start encouraging men to be more open and more vulnerable with how they feel.
Got it.
Yeah. You don't have to be a tough guy. You don't have to be a hard thug gangster. Like you can be a regular, you know what I'm saying, person without having to go, you know, to the extremes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely take off my tough guy persona every day. You know, it's hard out there, you know.
I try to wear pink as much as I can. That's what I'm into. Realistically, we're getting to the back end here, so I want to get into a couple questions that I have for each of you individually. First thing I want to know, Neak, what's in your cup right now? Because it looks delicious.
I'm turning into a slight little wine guy, so I'm
Connoisseur.
No, I'm not at any venues or nothing like that. You know, I just like to, you know, have a nice little glass here and there. So
Word.
This is where I have some wine.
I feel you. Okay, now my next question is a spin on a popular topic that's been going around Twitter lately. The thing on Twitter has been dinner with Jay-Z for 100K, right? But I know that you are a huge Tupac and Biggie fan. So you get dinner with Tupac or Biggie, and they come back to life just for the dinner for 100K. What are you taking?
See, that's not fair, man. How you go? Okay, look. Look. At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. I'm gonna need that 100K.
Let the dead rest.
There's enough YouTube videos out there where I can receive the wisdom, and get the knowledge and understanding that I need from two legendary artists. I love them both, but I need that 100K. Make a lot of moves with that.
Word. Okay, my next question is for Rita. The album's called High Priestess. You become the High Priestess of this society. You get 3 decrees, and then everybody got to follow those decrees. What are you decreeing?
How about knowledge, wisdom, and understanding?
Okay, but like, how does that enact? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're like, I decree knowledge, and I'm like, fuck, do I have to go back to school? Like, what do I have to do?
You do.
Okay, all right.
Yep, you got it.
Bet.
there's like no Tupac t-shirts on Tuesdays. You can't have Tupac Tuesdays. So I think that's what we're looking for. But oh well. Rita, Neak, thank you guys so much for giving us time and having a great conversation and a laugh with us. The new record, The High Priestess, is out there on all digital streaming platforms. Keep an eye out. Are you guys going to hit the stage? Are you guys looking for show dates? What can we expect from to seeing you guys? Or are you guys just going to wait this period out and see what happens maybe in 2022?
Man,
we're organizing. We'll do something. It may not be a huge event, but we'll definitely be, popping up somewhere in the city.
All right, cool. Well,
you gotta realize it's a lot going on with with a lot of the venues. They're kind of banding together. They want people vaccinated, and there's a lot of divide going on. So we definitely gonna be planning and making sure that we can accommodate, everybody. As much as we can, the core people.
Absolutely. All right. Well, whatever you guys do, decide to keep us posted. We'd love to come out and show love. That's what we do on this show. Rita J, Neak, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's. Have a great evening.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Thank you so much.
All right. Neak and Rita J joining us. Hey, I closed out the wrong window.
You closed out the wrong window, damn it.
It's Neak and Weekend Gabe. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. It's the revamp of the show. Sorry about that.
The levels of disrespect, America. The levels of disrespect.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.